So these are our tables. If you expand them like this, you will see the columns which are in our tables. These are the columns which are in our tables, right? And from this one, you can I think we can all agree that these tables that we have are the tables that we have loaded from our data. But maybe there are instances where we need to create our custom tables to use maybe along with our data, right? And those custom tables, those are tables that we create here. They are not loaded from the data source. They are created in Power BI using a language called DAX, right? So DAX simply means data analysis expressions, which is the formula language that we use in Power BI to create some measures, some calculated tables, and calculated columns, right? And one of the popular tables that we work with here in Power BI are the date tables, right? For example, if we go to this sales data here, right? Let me close this, right? So that we can
maybe to collapse, you can select one and right click and say collapse off.
Collapse off, right? So let's expand this one, right? So I think what, right? Let's say maybe we need to see the what can I say? Let's say I select this one. I select the product ID and quantity, right? Product ID and quantity, something like this, right? We have something like this. Where maybe you can see the quantity for that product, the quantity of sales for that product, right? This is how you do it. You just select the field that you want, and in this case we have selected the product ID and the quantity. And here you can see it says sum of quantity. Why does it say sum of quantity? So here Power BI is automatically aggregating that column, because here this one is a numeric type. It's a numeric type column. So it will automatically aggregate. It can aggregate as maybe a maximum, a minimum, quantity, or count.
Maybe let me add there. All right. So what Power BI is doing is it has two types of calculations. It has what we call explicit and implicit. Implicit, they are done by the system for all numeric columns. For example, money, currency, numbers, decimals, float. It does explicit calculations. It does auto aggregation, but they may not be enough. Okay, that's when we use DAX to create our own calculation that we have control of. Because these explicit calculations we don't have control. They are done by the system, but we might have our specific needs. So for the implicit calculations, there are not many of them. Those summary statistics, some mean, average, max, so there are not many of them. That's why you see for all the numeric columns, they have a summation sign. It means for those columns, Power BI is doing what's called implicit calculation. So for the quick calculation, you can even drag all of them. For example, like what he did here, maybe instead of product ID, use product name. Or we have a product. You can go to product and select product name, then select quantity. Okay, so it's doing explicit summarization. For example, that total. Okay, so it's high level, and if you are doing quick calculations like this table, you can use the explicit, but we need to do our own explicit summaries. And one thing that I need to explain here is we have selected a product name that is in the product and the quantity that is in the sales. Why is it that Power BI was able to link those tables? It's because of the model and the relationships that we have created. So here in the sales, we only have product ID, and in the product, we have the product name. So we have the product ID as well as a foreign key. So it's knowing that that quantity belongs to this product because of the key and the relationship that we have created. So that's the importance of creating those relationships.
So maybe to see the significance of that, what you can do is, here we have this one connected by a product ID. So I can choose to delete this one, right? We delete this one. Then we can go to the report view. Right, we can go to the report view. Go. Right, are you seeing this one? The quantity is the same. It's just 21,078, 21,078 for everything. Why? Simply because it is no way of identifying the quantity for that product, because the quantity is in the sales table, but the product is in the products table. Yet there is no relationship between the products table and the sales table. So for this thing, are you saying that if you don't model your data correctly, you result in errors? It will give you answers, but just wrong answers. So you need to make sure that your model is working correctly. So this is the significance of relationships. So for this one to work correctly, we need to configure a relationship between the sales table and the products table. And how we do that is we connect this one using the product ID, something like this, a concept that we have already demonstrated. Right? So if you go back to the report view here, you can see it's working what? Correctly. So that is the significance of a relationship, a model. Right? So from here, right, let's say we have our table like this. We need to analyze maybe the quantity sold per month. Let's say we need to see the quantity sold per month from this one.
What you may need to do is, as a best practice, when you are working with Power BI, you need to have a dedicated date. All right. So maybe we need to demonstrate how to use DAX to create a date.
Right. Yeah, thanks so much for that one. So I was saying, let's say, for example, we need to see the sales per month, the sales per week, the sales per year, right? Here, we don't have the year column. We don't have the month column, right? So to perform some time intelligence functions in Power BI, we need to create a dedicated date table for us to be able to do that, like what Alfred was saying. So for us to do that, we have to create a dedicated date table based on the data that we have. And for us to do that, we need to come to the modeling here, the modeling tab, right? Or else you come to the table view here. Yeah, let's use the table view, right? Then you select new table, right? And here we are going to write formulas in DAX to create a new what? A new table. So we are going to name this one a what? A date, right? And here we are going to, right? Let me say date table, right? Then we say is equal to, we say calendar, right? And for creating the date tables, there are two functions. There are two key functions that we have to understand. There's the calendar function here. This calendar function, right? It returns a table with one column of all the dates between the start and the end date. right? It returns a calendar. It returns a calendar with the dates starting from the start and the end date, right? For example, here in our sales table here, right? Let's try to expand this one, right? So that we can see, right? Yeah, if we expand this one, here we have the order date, right? So we need to create our date table inferring from the order date here, right? You say calendar. Okay, maybe let me start with calendar auto here. Then we just say calendar auto, something like this, right? Then I select enter. Are you seeing that? It has created a column with the name date, and it runs from 2020 to the last date here. So what it's actually doing is it's studying the dates that are in our data, and then it scans from the lowest date to the what? To the maximum date. From the minimum date to the maximum date. So this first date here is the minimum date that Power BI is automatically detected and determined. Yet the maximum here is the maximum date in our data set. So that's what it does. This calendar auto functions. It scans through our data set, then determines the minimum and the maximum date. Then it returns the dates in between. Right? So this function again, it returns the. So here you can pass a parameter. You can pass a value inside the calendar auto here. But if you don't pass a parameter like what we did here, by saying calendar auto, automatically it's assuming that this one there's what? There's a 12 here. And what this one means is it configures our fiscal year. It configures our fiscal year. Because there are years which ends in June, and there are years which ends in December, right? Depending on the convention that you want to use. For example, here in Zimbabwe, our year ends in what? In December. That is popularly known. So if we say calendar auto, that means that our last month for that year is December. But if we change, for example, if we change this one from 12 to what? 6. What you are trying to tell Power BI is that our year is ending in what? In June.
All right, maybe to end. So this is important to specify fiscal year, because for your company, you may have a specific year end. Your financial reporting year. Some companies, their years they end in December, some they end in February, some they end in March. And I think for every month there is a company that is a year end in that month. So it's important to then specify, so that when you are doing your financial calculations like year to date, month to date, quarter to date, sales prior year, those calculations, your Power BI will be able to know at which time is your year ending.
Yeah, so thanks for that one. So this is it. So here we are going to leave calendar auto, right? We can have our date table created, right? Sorry. All right. So instead of using the calendar auto function here, we have said that there is also the calendar function, which I wanted to demonstrate earlier. If you come to the table tools, let's demonstrate that one by creating a new table here. Let's call this one maybe date for the sake of demonstration. Then right, we say calendar, right? We have said this one accepts two dates, the minimum and the maximum. Then it returns the dates in between those two dates, the maximum and the minimum date. For example, we can say here the dates from the start date 1 January 2025 to 31 December 2025. And what that does is it returns all the dates from 1 January to 31 December. So here, for example, we need to bind our date to make sure that it runs from the minimum order date to the maximum order date. So what we do is, here, we are going to make use of a function minimum, which is inbuilt within Power BI. We say minimum of order date, right? Something like this, minimum of the order date, and the maximum, we use what? Max of the order date, right? If you just select order, if you just write order, it will show you this table. Then you can just what? Close, something like this. Then you select what? Enter. You can see that our table has been created. Our table has been created.
Pani Bandasara.
Yeah, you can choose.
Pa table jita tatanga kuita iro rangu yakandisira ka triangle kane red. Mepana tadza.
All right, yeah. So it means there is an error in your function. So what you do is just say calendar auto, then you close. Don't put any parameter in between.
Okay.
If you say calendar auto, then enter, it should
So the
should work.
the format is the table name, which we said date table, equals to calendar auto. As simple as that.
Okay, let me redo that because it's calendar auto.
Yes.
And close the bracket. Enter. Then how do I save that?
You just say enter. I think it will create a column for you.
Yeah, it is what collected.
That's right. Yeah. So the name of this table is a calculated table because we are. It's sort of a Power BI is determining this one, is inferring from the data that you already have. It's not a loaded table, but it's a calculated table, right? It's a calculated table. So from this, we can create columns from this one, and those columns will be called calculated columns, right? Yeah. So I think
Before we do that, we can go and create the column.
it's fine. I need to take this one away. Maybe let me take one table away here. Right. Right. So I think from this one you can see that there's an eye icon here where it says this field or a table is visible in your report. Select to hide. Then if you click on the eye icon here, it will no longer be visible in your model. If you come here, right, it will not be visible in your report. So here what you need to do now is to connect the sales table and the what and the date table, or any other table here with the date field. So how we do that is we select this order date, then we put it over here. Then this relationship is many to 1, which is fine. Then we save. So what this one,
so maybe to answer. So Tateta was asking to say, what's the purpose of the date range? So some companies may have their own dedicated calendar. For example, the date ranges, I think it was a calendar for Adventure Weeks, but we don't want to use that one. So we are creating our own date table. But for many companies, they have their own calendars for their own purpose. So in case they have it, you should import that and use it.
Yeah, so this is our table, our date table that we have created. So what this one means is you can make use of this relationship now. In cases where you need to do some time intelligence functions, maybe you need to see the sales for a particular date, and in that case, maybe it's very free. it's very okay for you to use this date to see the sales for that particular date. And maybe to demonstrate that,
maybe one thing, the moment you connect your date columns to the date table, the date in that column will be disabled. Can you go back to the model? So for all date functions, they have an icon for a calendar. So the moment you connect it to a date table, the calendar icon is disabled from the table, the main table. It means from now on, you are using the date table as for all your date functions. Let's wind up.
all right. Yeah, so from this one, let's say we need to see the cells for, this is our date table. Let's select this one, right?
The hierarchy.
Right. Let's select this one. Yeah, this one is a hierarchy. I think we are going to demonstrate that tomorrow. But let's say here I go ahead and select the quantity, right? Something like this, right? I'll be able to see the sales at a particular date. For example, here 1 January 2020, the quantity was 24, because it's looking up using that relationship. And from this one, we can do many things. For example, we can come up with a line chart, right? Let's if you select this one, we'll go to the next level. This one is per quarter. Can you drill down? Per month, per day.
Yeah, so that's also the importance of breaking your date table in case you have the timestamp, which is minutes and seconds. You won't be able to do this drill down in the hierarchies when you have that. It won't work. So you should split your table into date and time for you to work with this. So it means when you are presenting your report, maybe your manager will need it at different levels. So you will be just drilling up and down in different levels from year up to day. So I think, guys, because of time, we can end here, but we can entertain questions for 1 or 2 seconds.